Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of the Elixir Foundation series. In this episode right here, I'm going to be showing you guys how to listen to events from Chrome remote interface. So we're going to actually start to implement our engine. So, we need to kind of like remove some of this code, like for example, URL, swap URL. We don't really need them anymore because this was just done as an example for learning how to handle call and how to handle cast. So I'm going to remove these functions for now, and I'm going to actually start to implement what we want to actually keep, the actual code that we're going to use in our solution here for the rendering engine. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we need to connect to our Chrome remote protocol using this proxy client over here. So definitely that one we need to do over here. So now, for example, we can return the connection here like this. That's it. And so basically now this is going to connect and we're going to have access to the connection whenever we need it as we're doing the work of rendering the page. So why am I showing you guys how to actually listen to an event? Well, when you are rendering a page, because when you load a page with JavaScripts and all kinds of stuff, we need to know when certain things are happening. So one of the things we're going to be listening for later is that we're going to listen for network calls, because we are rendering a single page application, which means as the page loads asynchronously, it's going to slowly do the call to get data from the network. Like for example, I'm loading a page. Like if I go to my site over here, if I do a reload, you can see all those spinning wheels. Those are network calls that are happening together. It's fetching the data from the API, but when the page rendered, it was empty, and then it showed the spinning wheel. We want to track that the page has, like if we start a network call, we want to make sure that those network calls are finished before we declare that the page is finished rendering, if you will. So just having these network calls kind of like makes things a little bit more complicated, but that's why this project is actually going to be fun, because it's going to be meaningful. It's going to actually really solve a real problem. So now we can connect using our engine, and basically we can initialize a connection to our proxy, to our Chrome server. So I think I need to start my proxy. So I'm going to do cd dev, and basically I'm going to go into proxy and mix run no halt. So yeah, that's going to start proxy. So later, just in case when I show you guys how to connect and use this rendering engine, we know exactly where that's coming from. So one of the things we're going to need to do is listen for events. Events when network calls are started, when network calls are finished, or when the page is loaded or whatever. In this example, I'm going to show you how to listen, what happens when you listen to an event and how it actually applies, and how we listen for those events in our GenServer. So one of the things we're going to need to do is, once we have the connection, so I'm going to actually call this guy con, because it's just more meaningful than PID. And then basically now we're going to have this. Okay, and then we're going to do a equals. So now we're going to actually use Chrome remote interface. So I'm going to do an alias Chrome remote interface dot, and then we're going to do a RPC and then page session. So we're going to need both of these modules. So we're going to alias them to make them easier to use, essentially. All right, so I'm going to do our RPC dot page dot enable con, and then basically I'm going to subscribe to an event. So what are the list of events that are available for Chrome remote protocol? So if you actually head over to chrome devtools.github.io, that DevTools protocol, I'm going to paste a link to this page in the description, so check that out. Basically, there's all these events. So, under different domains. So, for example, there's a domain called network here. Hint, hint. That's the one we're going to be using. In this particular video, though, I'm going to be covering this event right here called page load event fired. And basically, when this event is fired, I want to do something, maybe output a text or whatever, just to show you guys how it actually works. So this is the data that's going to be passed in, the timestamp, once the event is fired. So we can actually even just output the timestamp that's provided by this thing over here, this event over here. So yeah, in this case, we're going to subscribe to this event. So I'm just going to copy this text over here, and I'm going to head over into the code over here, and then basically I'm going to do OK equals page session dot subscribe. So we need to pass in the connection, and then we say which event we want to listen for to Chrome, and then basically self. So what is self? Self is this particular GenServer. So essentially what we're saying is we want to subscribe to this event, and when there is an event, send the message back to self, to myself. So I know, oh, just tell me when you're done with this event or something. So essentially what this is going to do is going to subscribe to the event, page.loadEventFired, and then it's going to do self. So now basically what do we do next? We need to essentially handle this event. So how do we do that? We can use what's called a handle info. So def handle info. And basically what's going to happen is once the event is sent back to us, it's going to be in this format. So it's going to be Chrome remote interface, and then what the name of the event is. So in this case, it's going to be this guy over here. And then we're going to actually get the data. And then we're going to obviously get the state. So basically, this is a new, callback. We covered, handle call, handle cast. So this is something new. This is handle info. So once we get this event fired, what do we want to do? Well, we can actually even just do a no reply state, and then basically we can do something like this. So I'm going to require logger.info, and then I'm going to do data. So essentially, when we call the actual function of actually retrieving the page, once this event is fired from Chrome DevTool, we should see something like this in our console. So for now, we're just using the logger to log out the data, but we can do anything. We can use it to track states or whatever. I'll show you guys how to do all that later. So for now, we also need to actually initialize the navigation of the page. So once we tell it that we want to subscribe to these events, now we actually need to make that call. We need to make that call to retrieve the page. So we're going to do that like this. So I'm going to do OK equals, and then our pc.page.navigate. So this is, we've covered navigate before. It's basically the same thing as what we did here. So we're going to pass in the connection, con, and then here we're going to do the actual URL. So URL and URL. So that's pretty much it. So now when we start the GenServer, it's going to prepare and set everything up. It's going to connect to our Chrome remote interface. It's going to subscribe to Chrome and say, hey, when you render this page, when this event is fired, send me this, send me a message here, and then basically we can handle that event, and then we can do something with it later, and then actually call the navigation to go and retrieve the page. So this should work. I think I need to, okay, so for now this should be fine. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to start this up. So I'm going to do IEX-mix, And now I'm going to actually start this server. So, OK, PID equals bountiful.render.engine.start link. And then I'm going to pass in HTTP www.artellectual. So that's the page we're going to kind of like test with. Pass it in. It's going to do the connection over here. You can see that. And then we get an OK PID. And then bam, we got an error of some kind. OK. So actually, the event did fire, but it's just that, the data we got this method, which is not, fire, which is not handled properly. We can't convert this. It's basically saying it doesn't know how to convert this into how to use this with Logger. So basically what we need to do is we need to get the timestamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do data, and then I'm going to select params, and then so that we can output this thing over here, the timestamp. So I'm going to fix the code slightly, and then basically should be fine. Params, yeah, something like that should be okay. So actually, we can just do something like this: io.inspect data. Yeah, that might even be better. So let's see. So I'm gonna close my server. I'm gonna run it, and I'm gonna start my page again. So I'm just gonna copy this guy here. It's gonna do the network call, and then basically it's should output the data object. So as you can see, it actually finished starting, and then we get output the actual event, the data from the event. So as if you look at the documentation, it says you're going to get a timestamp. That's exactly what we got. So that's basically how you listen to an event. We can pass messages and do all kinds of things into our GenServer. And in this episode right here, I showed you guys exactly how to do that. Chrome, sent our server, our GenServer, an event, and we handled it. And so in the next episode, I'm going to taking this a little bit further. I'm going to start to talk to you guys about tracking network calls and all that stuff in the Chrome remote protocol. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. I want to mention to you guys that this is a members exclusive episode. It is packed with a ton of content. So if you guys have any questions or anything that you want to ask, get the most out of your membership by asking questions in our newly launched discussion forum. We just launched this thing like 2 days ago. Not even that many people on it yet. So chances are if you post it, I'll see it very quickly and I'll answer your question as fast as I possibly can. And also there is beautiful syntax highlighting. So if you start a new conversation, you can ask a question and say, hey, I'm confused about agents or subscribing to Chrome events. And then basically you can type your question, and you can even do, so you can do something like this. And then basically you can do syntax highlighting to paste in your code. So def module render do end. And basically you can do syntax highlighting and all kinds of cool stuff with this commenting system over here, this discussion system. So I'm going to be waiting for your messages to come in. Happy to help any way I can. Get the most out of your membership. So with that, I want to wrap up this episode and thank you for becoming a member. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.